Hey folks, Christina here. We are back with Pause and Practice 4-2 for Word. So we have on the screen the document that we just created in the Pause and Practice 4-1. I've already done step one, which is open that previous document and save that document with my initials as 4-2. And just a quick reminder, if you have reopened a document, you just want to double check the editing tab. Make sure you're working in the desktop view. I am in the desktop view. If I were not, I would just see down at the bottom here, it would say open in desktop. Okay, so we are ready to rock and do some changes to our table. Step number 3 is where we're going to start. And it basically tells us that we're going to be doing some style options for our table. So we're going to go down to our table that we created in the last pause and practice. And we're going to place our insertion point in the table at the end of the document. So it doesn't really matter where you put your insertion point here. When you do that, you'll notice up top you get 2 new tabs. We've got table design and table layout now. So I'm just going to click outside of that table and you'll see those 2 tabs went away. If I click back into my table, I've got the table design there. You'll also notice that I have the show hide on for this video. At a couple of points in here, we'll be highlighting some things and we need to keep that paragraph marker in our highlighting. So it may be beneficial for you to turn that show hide on for this one. Excellent. Okay, so we have our insertion point in the table. We're going to be on step B for number 3. It says click the table design tab, and then we're going to select head over on the right, header row, banded row, and first column. Those are already selected for me, so just double check those over on the left side of your screen. Then we're going to click the More button. Now, depending on the version of Microsoft you have, mine I believe is the new 24 version. You may be working in the 21 version in our labs, so your buttons may look just a tiny bit different. The More button is over on the right of these little grids. It's a flat line and then a little downward triangle. So we're going to click that, and that opens up our grid styles. Now, the grid style we're looking for in letter E is grid table, excuse me, grid table 5 dark, accent 3. In the event that you don't have that one, pick one close to it and just put a comment in your notes for your assignment. So that wraps up step number 3. Now we're going to go to step number 4, and we're going to look at how do you add custom borders to your table. So step 8 lets us know that we're going to select this first line in our table, or excuse me, first row, and then we're going to click the borders drop down arrow, which is over to the right of our screen. And we're going to go down all the way to the bottom where borders and shading is listed. We're going to select custom in the settings column on the left-hand side. Then we're going to click the color drop down, and we're going to choose the second option in the first row, which is black. And then we are going to, let's make sure I didn't skip a step here. All right. We're going to click the width drop down, and we're going to do 1.5 on that one. And then step F says we're going to select the solid line, which is at the top of your style categories here. Then we're moving over to the right side of our dialog box here. It says we're going to click the top boundary of the example cell in our preview area. And you can see when I click that and unclick it, it's putting a top border and removing it. So that's what we're trying to do in this one. We're going to click OK, and that takes us to step I, which is select the entire bottom row of our table. So we're going to select that entire row. We're going to open the borders again, and we're going to go down to borders and shading. And we are going to add that bottom border. So the same thing that we did with our previous one, it's going to be custom. The width is going to be 1.5. The color is black, and the style is the solid line. This time though, we're adding that bottom, or excuse me, adding that border line to the bottom. So you can click the bottom row or the bottom section of your example here, and then click OK. And now we've got a border on our bottom row. So we have now wrapped up step number 4. Next, we're going to do step 5, which is to vertically align the text in our cells. So we're going to select the entire table using our table selector. And we're going to go to the Properties button, which is in the Table Layout tab. So we're going to go back to the table layout up top and Properties over to the left. And then we're going to click on the Cell tab in the center. So basically, we're putting all of our text in the center of every cell. We're going to click OK there. We've got everything lined up. We'll click out of that table, and then we can see step 6 says we're going to apply formatting changes to the text in this table. So we're going to select our first row, which is our title. And we're going to open our font dialog box. So that's on our home tab. So up at the top of our screen, we'll click home. We're going to open up the dialog box using that launcher. We're going to select our 12 for our font size. Our font color is going to be black. And then it asks us to choose small caps. Once we've gotten that done, we can click OK, and we can see that change is reflected in our table. Then it says we're going to select the text in the first column, not including the title. So this is on step D. We're going to select that text. And we're going to open our font dialog box. And we're going to choose small caps. So we're leaving it the same size, same color. We're just changing it to small caps. And we'll click OK there. Next, we're going to move up to the top of our document, and we're going to convert text to a table. So let's jump up to the top of our document. This is step 7, letter A. So we're at the first page, and we're going to select the 3 lines of text after Realtor Consultant. And it says, including the paragraph mark. So we want to make sure that we get that little paragraph mark after the website address. We're going to click the Insert tab up top. And then we're going to click the table button. And when we click the table button, we've got an option to convert our text to table. So watch what happens to this information when I click convert to text. It already defaults to what our columns are. We've got 2 columns of information and 3 rows of information. That's correct. Our instructions on letter D tell us that we want to auto fit the contents to our table. And then we're going to click OK. And you can see how that visually aligned that a little better. So it's got our information laid out in a table. Our table has borders though. So step number 8 is going to help us remove those borders, add some custom borders, and display some grid lines. So we're going to select our little mini table that we just made. And we're going to click the borders drop-down arrow, which is over to the top right of our screen. And we're going to select no borders. Then we're going to click the borders drop-down arrow and select top border. So we remove the border. Now we're going to replace some borders. So we've got a top border here, and letter C says we're going to click the borders button, and we're going to look for bottom border. And then we're going to select the table if necessary. Ours is already selected. And we're going to click the shading drop-down arrow, which is in our table design tab. And the shading is the little paint bucket. So we're going to click that. And it asks us to choose the 7th option in the second row, which is an olive green color. And if you hover over that color, it will let you see the description, and that matches the one that's in our instructions. Next, on the table layout tab, so going back to table layout, we're going to click view grid lines in the table group area. And the reason you're doing that, you'll see when I click off of this, is it shows kind of a really light area of grid lines. That just lets you see when you're going to print what that looks like. They won't actually print on the paper. They're called non-printing grid lines. Okay. And so that takes us to the end, or that gets us to the end of pause and practice 4-2. Good job. You've done it so far. So we want to definitely make sure we save this document, and then we'll be back in our next video for 4-3 to walk you through the next steps of our table.